we need to make sure that when you guys are speaking, you tell us who is talking before you start in on your monologue so that we can have that for the minutes. It's kind of confusing. So that way we make sure we get everybody recognized correctly. And then we have the minutes to approve. And I found a mistake in the minutes on page 6. Where was it? Under public hearing number 3, where it talks about Principal Planner Watkins, says this used to be part of the Broadmoor Gold Course. It should be golf course. And I don't know if anybody else found anything else, but I would entertain a motion to accept the meetings as corrected.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as corrected from gold to golf course.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Adam.
Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Adam to approve the minutes with the correction. All those in favor, I'm going to go through our roll call. Steve.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Michelle. Not here. Matt. Adam.
Aye.
Brett.
Aye.
Tom.
Aye.
And Ron.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Report on council actions.
I don't see that Randy is on right now, so I'll report back. We had 3 items before the city council last night. One of those was a variance, or 2 of those were variance. The first one was the, I drew a blank on what the name of the development is called. It is the low-income housing on Garrity Boulevard that you approved a CUP for. I don't know why I'm drawing blank. What is it? Canyon Terrace Apartments, that's right. And the city council denied the variance. It was for a reduced number of parking spaces. 16, they were short 16 parking spaces. And so they denied that, feeling like they either need to rework their site layout or they need to reduce the number of dwelling units in that development so that they can meet the required parking spaces. They didn't feel like there was legal basis to approve the variance. The other variance was a lot in an RD zone, and it was basically being divided into 2. They had a property that was really substandard lot size with a shed on it, and they were tearing down the shed, readjusting the lot lines, and building 2 homes on a property. Infill development. It was about 4,600 square feet each property in an RD zone, so they approved that one. And then they had a conditional use permit for the 208 District 208 storage units. Those were conditioned multi-story building, and they did approve that. That's at the old Karcher Mall, so that was approved. That's all I have.
Okay. I didn't ask you if you had any announcements other than what I said.
So I actually do. I just wanted to introduce Karen Hess from our office. She has just joined our team, and she will be She will be attending all our meetings in the future and taking minutes for us. And we're just really excited to have her. She has lots of experience in city government. She worked for a community in Texas. Is that right, Karen?
Correct. Yes.
And we're just excited to have her. She has a lot of experience in the development world. And so, again, I'd like to just introduce her and maybe give you a minute to introduce yourself, Karen.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all virtually, and I look forward to seeing you in person next time.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have one business item. Subdivision plat final approval for Fall Creek subdivision number 5.
Give me a second while I change out with Christy. She's checking people in.
Awesome. Is Michelle here yet? I take that as a no. She's the only one we have that's not here. Okay.
Michelle, where'd you go? Peggy?
Yes.
Michelle is hearing everything. For some reason, she couldn't respond back, but she texted me that she's here.
Okay.
Oh, she was muted, that's why.
Okay. Well,
Hey, and just so you know, Peggy, we have more people in the audience than we've had since COVID started.
oh
We have an
boy,
audience, period.
that's exciting.
Yeah, we probably got 22,000 people here.
All right.
Oh my. Hope not.
All properly socially distanced.
Well, with one exception.
Okay. Can everyone see that screen?
Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. The action requested from you tonight is a recommendation of approval or denial of the Fall Creek Subdivision Number 5 final plat. This project is comprised of 8.52 acres proposed to be platted into 30 buildable lots and 1 common lot located on the east side of Madison Avenue between Cherry Lane and Ustick Road. This property is located inside the city limits and is zoned RS7. It is bordered by Canyon County Ag property on the south and west, and by RS7 zoned properties that are phases of the same subdivision on the north and the east. The annexation zoning to RS 8.5 and the development agreement were approved in September of 2006. The preliminary plat with a rezone to RS7 and a development agreement modification were approved in May of 2015. Since that time, phases 1, 2, and 3 have all recorded, and phase 4 was approved last November, and phase 5 is this development, and it is the last phase of this development. So the findings of fact in this case are that it is located within the city limits in the RS7 zone. It conforms to the approved preliminary plat layout, and it conforms to the applicable subdivision and zoning standards for NAMPA. Staff feels that it is appropriate for this commission to recommend approval of the final plat for Fall Creek Subdivision Number 5 to City Council with conditions as listed in the staff report and any other conditions that you see fit to impose. I will stand for any questions.
Any questions for Christy? Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Oh,
Okay, Michelle.
You just answered it, that you can hear me. Thank you.
we can hear you.
Okay, guys, what do you think?
Madam Chair, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we recommend for approval the subdivision plat final approval for Fall Creek subdivision number 5 for Challenger Development representing jail properties with all conditions.
Second.
Okay, so Brett made the motion, and was it Matt that seconded?
Yes.
My ears are working good. Okay, so motion by Brett, second by Matt to recommend the final plat approval. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Michelle. Michelle.
Aye, can you hear me?
Yep, now.
So the problem, just so you know, I'm gonna have a delayed response because I have to hit that *6 and then say, you are no longer muted. So just so you know, it's gonna take a minute.
Thank you. Matt,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
Okay, that carries. And Michelle, I'll always call your name after Jeff. So when you hear me call on Jeff, you can start to unmute. That might make it easier. Okay, so it is at 7 o'clock, so we can go on to,
We gotta wait. Rodney's out of the room right now, so we'll wait for him to step back in.
he ran away.
I think
I can't see what's going on.
yeah, they're playing the switcheroo. So Christy left, and I think Rodney will come back in.
Oh, okay.
Well, if we're lucky, he won't.
Oh.
I was just kidding, Rodney. You can come back now.
I did see Sylvia today. She came by my office. I think she was there more to see my puppy than she was to see me, though.
I'll go see who's out there.
We usually have Nampa PD in here watching anyone to take the yellow tape off the chairs. Well, we don't have anyone here tonight, so we're a little bit worried. Oh, are you? Oh. Here comes Rodney.
Okay.
No worries.
All right, what do you need me for?
To start.
We're just going to start public hearing. Item number 1, do we have an applicant?
We do.
She raised her hand, yes.
If you please come up, give us your name and address for the record and tell us what you want to do. And I can't see you, so I.
Okay. Hi, good evening. My name is Wendy Sharif. I'm a planner with JEB Engineers, and my business address is 250 South Beechwood Avenue in Boise, Idaho. And I'll go ahead and kind of explain what we're trying to do. I don't know if Rodney, if you could go ahead and put up a copy of the site plan. That's probably the easiest way for me to explain.
I just think it happens.
Okay, then.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
I find it here.
Let's see.
Here it is. Okay.
So in your packets, if you've got that, or if you've got a copy of this showing where this property is located, this property is adjacent to the 4th phase of Summit Ridge 4. We're applying for a rezone for a 0.3 acre sliver. It's currently zoned RS6. We are requesting to zone this sliver BC for community business. when the preliminary plat was originally entitled, we also went in and we did zoning and created several different zoning designations for this property. When this area was zoned BC for this corner, which will eventually be developed as commercial, there was an error that was made in that legal description. And then there's a 0.3, just that little sliver, about a third of an acre, was zoned as residential. And it's actually, that area is adjacent to what will be Summit Ridge 4. It's not a part of Summit Ridge 4. It's actually part of the parcel that's zoned BC. So we want to rezone that sliver from residential. We're obviously not going to put homes there. It's not a part of Summit Ridge 4. We want to rezone it so that it matches the rest of the parcels BC. And this came up when, as we started working on Summit 4, we realized there was this gap in our legal descriptions that this area needed to be rezoned. Otherwise, potentially, we've got a property, when this develops, we would have the rear of the property would not have proper zoning for any commercial uses.
So it's just a correction.
It's a correction.
All right, thank you. We will hear from staff. We may have some questions for you. If they come up, we'll call you back up.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Okay.
Critchfield?
Yes. Hi. Chair and Commissioners, Doug Critchfield, Principal Planner. And this is a relatively simple fix to the project. It's located, this project is located on south of West Greenhurst Road and west of South Midland. It's about 0.3 acres. It is surrounded by single family on the west and the south. And on the east, it's a community business designation. Excuse me, in the comprehensive plan, this is zoned low density, or the future land use map shows it as low density residential. This was zoned prior to the comprehensive map change, which had a community mixed use, I believe, a residential mixed use to the north, which stretched over this parcel. So even though it doesn't match the comprehensive plan currently, the future land use map, it did at the time when this was all annexed in. It's surrounded largely by medium density residential and low density residential. This is the site with the utilities, and you can see this was also in your staff report about the existing utilities. Access is from West Greenhurst and South Midland. And you've seen the map here of what this looks like. We received some correspondence on this, standard correspondence from the building department, and no concerns or violation concerns from the other agencies. We did receive a letter today that I needed to highlight in the staff report from the Boise Project Board of Control, indicating that there is an easement that needs to be maintained on the property, and the language from this will be placed in the conditions of approval. We did not receive any correspondence from the general public. So the recommended findings that the rezone of the subject property BC is reasonably necessary in order to allow for the applicant to use the property as proposed, and that the subject property to BC rezoning is in the interest of the property owners and is compatible with the adopted comprehensive plan at the time of annexation. And as was mentioned before, the recommended condition of approval, as in your staff report, with the added language number 4 there, indicating the easement on the Robinson lateral. Any other conditions are, that the commission wishes to impose at this time? And so with that, I'd be glad to take any questions.
Any questions for Doug? Okay, thank you. So Roddy, do we have anybody there that would like to speak on this?
Let me bring up the sign-in sheet. Doug, I'm going to take over for a second.
Okay, all right.
So just the applicant has signed up.
Okay. So,
Anybody else want to speak on the first one? Nobody wanted to speak.
okay, I would entertain a motion to close public hearing.
So moved, Steve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Steve, second by Matt to close public hearing. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye, and that is the Ponca jet.
thank you. Matt,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. What do you guys want to do?
Madam Chair, this is Jeff. This is an easy fix. I will make a motion that we recommend to City Council zoning map amendment from RS6 to BC for a third of an acre strip of land mistakenly zoned RS6 during the plating and zoning process of Summit Ridge subdivision and due to an incorrect legal description submitted for the zoning boundaries for JUB engineers Wendy Shreve representing M3 Idaho Greenhurst LLC with all conditions of staff, including the highlighted one that was referenced by staff this evening.
Steve, second.
Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Steve to approve it. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
Okay, that one goes through. Public hearing item number 2. Yeah. Are things misnumbered in here?
Yeah, I think the staff report had a misnumber on it.
Okay, what is,
Should be on your screen.
okay. Well, let's go on to the second one. Do we have an applicant here?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay, please state your name and address for the record and tell us what you want to do.
William Mason, Mason and Associates. Our address is 924 3rd Street South. Rodney, can you use a flash drive? So tonight we're here to ask you for consideration for a proposed comprehensive plan change with a rezone and annexation into the city for 18.92 acres on the southeast corner of Locust Lane and Southside Boulevard. And I believe it's the second one down. So why we're asking for this annexation and zoning is to have a proposed flex space, storage unit, and restaurant area. The property is a little odd shaped. It's 18.92 acres, but you can see that there's a substantial portion of it. If you look to the left of the screen is the north, and that's Locust Lane. And then Southside Boulevard runs along the south or the bottom side of the screen. And along the east side of that property, there are 2 canals. And so part of that 18.92 acres is between those 2 canals. So what we're proposing is a restaurant in the northwest corner and then flex space along south side with some RV parking. It's unique because of the shape. We're asking for a BC zone for the uses that we're attempting to provide. The city also has a roundabout planned for that intersection at the corner of Locust and Southside. The future plans for the property would be to provide flex space for the surrounding neighborhoods so that there's people that have businesses that are traveling back and forth in vehicles. They can use that flex space to store their vehicles and their materials. Also, RV parking and boat storage. We looked at the neighborhood and around the area and found that there's areas where people are actually not able to park their RVs in their yards, so they're parking them in the street. We think this is a good fit for this area because of the location and the layout of the property. If it does develop as something that's residential, it'll probably end up going vertical because of the narrowness of the property. So with this proposal, we think that we would actually reduce the future impacts of traffic because we're not actually adding population to the location. There aren't any restaurants in this area, so we think that we would be providing a service to the adjacent property owners to have something sit down in their neighborhood and provide convenience. Want to do a little something different than we normally do. I'd like to actually have the developer, Ms. Linda Claiborne, come up and finish off and kind of explain her vision of what is her proposal for the final build out, if that's okay.
Okay.
Hi, this is all new to me.
Give us your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, my name's Linda Claiborne and my address is 1608 Sunrise Rim, Boise, Idaho, 83705. Okay, so hi, I'm Linda Claiborne. I am a native Idahoan. I graduated from Nampa High. You might know my dad, Dick Claiborne. He was sat on city council for 16 years. He ran for mayor. He was acting mayor. He helped build the library and he bought a lifetime membership to the rec center, even though he's never been there. So my dad was a community supporter and a community contributor, and so am I. And I grew up here and I know all those fields. I topped corn for 3 years. My sister picked strawberries, and if we could go back, it would be great, but we can't. And so we might as well embrace the future. So I want to spend more time with my mom because my dad is now gone. So we were driving around. We saw that piece of land. There's just homes everywhere, as you all know. And then we decided to go to lunch. Oh my gosh, nothing, not one single restaurant in that whole entire part of town. And since I work 60 to 80 hours a week, I'm willing to give that up and spend more time with my mom. And I thought, oh my gosh, this would be a perfect place for a restaurant, not fast food, not 24/7, a nice restaurant that's inviting, has a patio, has a, you know, family-friendly breakfast on the weekends, etc., and serves alcohol. So I decided to try and get the property. And then I thought, well, what am I going to do on the rest of that thing? So we went through all the neighborhoods. And they all have HOAs. And there are more neighborhoods that are being slotted by new developers that also have HOAs, know where to put their RVs. And they were everywhere. And then in one neighborhood, which is the workforce of Nampa, there were both sides of the street. It was like a narrow lane to get through their neighborhood because there were trailers and HVAC vans and plumbers and roofers. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to build a place for them to store their stuff that's safe and secure, decrease the crime, and low impact on traffic. So I did a survey online, wrote a letter, went to the door for 3 days, met wonderful people, and who are hopefully here to support me. And then they did their own survey, and the consensus is that they loved the idea of having a restaurant. Of course, you know, everyone had a different idea of what kind of restaurant to put there. And nobody wanted more homes, nobody wants more traffic, and nobody wants more crime. So I also did research on that property. So there is about 2.5 acres that you cannot use between those two canals. So the easements also belong to each of those respectful canals. So it's a troubled, odd-shaped, small piece of property. I won't have to blast because these are no crawl spaces for homes. The crime will be decreased because the people that I already have 7 reservations for the RVs. I called every single storage facility that in the entire area. And there was only a handful that even had RV parking. And they were not only full, they have a wait list of 10 to 15 people. And then the people that I talked to in these neighborhoods told me that they couldn't wait for me to build it so that they'd have a place to park instead of getting letters all the time from their HOAs. And then I went to the other neighborhood, and some of the people did work for someone else, so they didn't need a place to store their equipment and their materials. But 3 people were delighted to have more family time. They're going clear on the other side of town every morning and every night to drop off their equipment and their materials. And they would be thrilled to go to Little League or ballet with their kids or have dinner and know that their equipment and their materials are safely secured in a housing that is locked, that has cameras and lighting from dusk to dark. This facility will not be 24/7. It will be quiet. So in conclusion, this is a great proposal to amend the comprehensive plan that's going to serve the community. And then there'll be no more letters on their RVs, and everybody will be happy campers. And there were also 2 other commercial sites that were actually slated in this neighborhood. One of them was in Lava Springs, and the developer decided instead of making it commercial restaurants or something to serve the community, he'd put as many patio homes as he could on that property, and that's what he did. And the other commercial place that was slotted was 600 yards down on the corner of South Side and Locust Lane to the left, 12 acres on the north. I believe it was Ed Pretty, got a permit to put in a storage facility, and then he decided to do a development of homes. So this is overdue. It's needed. I'm providing a service, and I had overwhelming positive response. And I want to thank you all for your time.
I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes, please.
This is Steve speaking. You mentioned you're going to cut down on crime. What crime are you cutting down on?
Well, some people said to me that storage units increase crime, and also the neighborhood of Royal Meadows. You know, they're vans, and I mean, I don't know what the crime is out there. I just know that if you leave temptation available, sometimes you get higher crime rates, because this is the
So
workforce
this
of
is the
Nampa.
supposition, not necessarily a fact.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just that, yeah.
Second
absolutely.
question. This is going to be exclusively for motorhomes and RV vehicles, or will you have regular storage units as well?
There will be some regular storage units that are enclosed. All of the RV parking will be covered. And according to your current codes of the storage facilities, anything that does not have, so everything that's along Locust Lane will have 10-foot eaves. I will follow all of the codes, you know, of the textures of the walls and the landscaping, the sidewalks, and et cetera, et cetera. But if it's over 10-foot eaves, to accommodate for the motorhomes, they will be in the very back, and they will be 100 feet setback as according to your new codes. And I will have to apparently subdivide one time after annexation in the city.
So do you know how many RV spaces you'll have versus how many storage
I
spaces?
think there are 78. Well, I'm going to do it in phases. So, and I'm happy to go with what the community needs. I mean, that's why I'm
Well,
doing this.
that's the way you operate a business. You go by what's the need is,
That's
not
exactly
necessarily what
right.
you think is right.
Yeah, exactly. So to start with, there's 78, and they're not just one size. They're 35, 40, and 45. Locust Lane, I called them. They're the newest storage facility. They built 55 storage or RV parking spots. They were all the same size, 48 feet in length. A month ago, they only opened in April. A month ago, they had 3 left. Today, they have a wait list. There's just,
So why would you want to put in storage units instead of just storage spaces?
because people that are moving need a place to put things. I mean, unfortunately, I've had a storage unit for like 10 years. I've probably paid for everything 3 times over, but you know, I can't give it up. So people, you know, it's just part of the package. But the flex space, that is in great need. There's one in Eagle that's been full for years for the workers that, you know, say that you are a roofer or a plumber.
Yeah, I
You can't
understand.
put that stuff at home.
Right.
So you go there in the morning, but if you have to drive all the way through town, it causes traffic congestion, and might as
get
well
it.
have more family time.
Thank you.
Couple of questions. This is Jeff, Madam Chair. In full disclosure, I live in that area,
Oh, great.
and I'm also the HOA president of Clear Springs, which is right across the road from the property in question. My question to you is, did you have a conversation with Southside Storage, which is literally about a half mile from the proposed development from your property?
I did.
And what was that conversation like?
They
What
do
did
not have any RV parking at all. And I'll read it because I called them today just to
Okay.
make sure.
Because that's a topic that I think is still up for discussion in the city as to ordinances concerning storage properties.
Okay.
But anyways, I was just kind of wondering.
No,
I don't think
absolutely.
that's settled yet, if I'm correct, Rod. I don't think that's settled yet completely.
Right, so the city council did adopt the 2,500 foot buffer between existing storage, but of course this, if it's half a mile, it wouldn't. fall
Yeah,
into that.
it might fall right on that 25.
I think it's more than half a
Close.
mile from
Yeah.
Southside. It's more like 2 or 3 miles, isn't it?
Okay, and so that conversation went,
Okay, oh, so what they
Sorry.
said today, and I talked to, I think it was the owner or the manager, he said they do not have any RV parking and that they have some 10 by 30s that businesses are using that are completely full and have been full. And he would like to build more, but there's no space. He has none left. He has 2 10 by 20s left and that he has a wait list for everything.
okay.
So I don't want to step on anybody's toes, for sure. I want to
Sure, I
work
understand.
together. So,
And then just further up on the corner of Greenhurst and the south side, there's
Mhm.
that little strip mall right there.
Mhm.
And there is a restaurant right there on the corner. I think now it's called the
Closed.
Breakfast Spot, but it's been closed for quite a while. And I think it's changed hands 2 or 3 times.
it has.
And it's been of concern, I mean, not concern, but questioned by neighbors in that area of how come we can't keep a restaurant in this area? So,
Can I give a couple of hints on that?
well,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
things that I've heard. Okay, so obviously this is secondhand too, but what I've been told is that the pizza place that was there, Dad bought the pizza place for his son because he wanted his son to have a career because he was kind of a wild kid. He had no intention of becoming that, so it closed. He was a bad manager.
So it's
the
more
pizza place
management
closed.
than,
That's correct. And the Starvin' Marvin's Cafe, Blue Sky Cafe.
that's what it was, yeah.
Right. They were packed all the time. They did not close due to lack of business. It was domestic and a separation
Right,
and it
that's what I
closed.
heard.
So you're exactly correct. It was a management problem, not the fact that people do not want a restaurant.
So a management issue, not a market issue.
Correct.
Thank you for that clarification.
I live on the other side of town and I used to go there for breakfast.
I heard it was great.
It is, used to be.
That's what I want. I want a family restaurant that has breakfast all day, Saturday and Sunday, and maybe a patio with a guitar player, but closes early, you know. You guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Doug, you have this one as well?
Yes, Madam Chair, I do. Thank you. So the requested action before you this evening are 2 things. First off, to consider a conversion of that area from medium density residential to community mixed use and in the future land use map. And secondly, annexation and zoning to BC. So I'm going to go through and talk about the project in general, the site in general, and then I'll talk about each of those actions. So the location of this property, south of East Locust and east of Southside Boulevard, it's 18.92 acres. There are several subdivisions around the area. The Clear Spring subdivision is on the north side. That's zoned RS7. The south is an enclave and it's agricultural, still within the county. East is enclaved and agricultural, and the Mansfield Park subdivision is also located in that area, as well as the New York Landing subdivision, which is more to the southeast. And then to the west is the Lava Springs subdivision. That's zoned RS6. The area is medium density residential under the 2040 comprehensive plan. It's surrounded by medium density residential with low density residential to the northwest. The proposal for the comprehensive plan is to convert this to community mixed use and then to zone this as community business. Utilities, there's a map that was provided in your staff report. There are utilities available to the site, and access will be from South Side and Locust Lane. This is the view of the site looking from the corner of Locust and South Side, looking to the southeast. A little bit about the application history on this. I apologize if I'm a little bit verbose on this report. I want to make sure that I'm accurate here. So when staff originally recommended to the applicant that the neighborhood business zoning district be applied to the property to be more compatible with the adjacent land uses. And the BN zone limits the height of storage units to 10 feet at the apex of the structure. But it does allow storage units to abut RS single family and RD two-family duplex residential zoning district. And the appropriate land use setting for a BN zone would be a residential mixed use land use setting. The applicant indicated that they desired a BC zoning district because of the height limitation in the BN zoning district. The BC zoning district would allow them to exceed that 10-foot limitation in order to be able to cover the RV storage units. The community mixed use land use setting is the appropriate land use setting for the BC zoning district. The BC zoning district would not be appropriate for a residential mixed use land use setting. So I just wanted to make that clear as to how this evolved. So let's take the comprehensive plan amendment. First, in terms of your capacity as a commission, is state law HB 608 indicates that the commission may recommend changing the commission, the council may recommend changing or modifying the comprehensive plan, but that was withdrawn, and so approving or not approving a requested comprehensive plan amendment is really a subjective matter for you. And there are two things to consider when you're considering these types of changes. First, whether the area around the property is in flux and is changing. And secondly, whether there was some kind of an error in the comprehensive plan future land use map that warrants fixing of some kind. So those are really the two considerations that staff suggests the commission and the council consider. The medium density residential, as it's currently sitting, allows for a single family and two family duplex residential development. If this were to be converted to a community mixed use, the land uses, the potential land uses change pretty dramatically. It would be transitioning to a community mixed use type of development, which means potentially in the future, if this land were to be changed and zoned to a BC, it has the potential to have some high density residential with a conditional use permit. It would also allow several types of commercial, retail, large grocery stores, box stores, hotels, different types of more regional types of uses, which was the intent of the community mixed use future land use setting, was to be more of a regional, allow for regional opportunities, particularly in the commercial setting. It also, community mixed use and residential mixed use, although not necessarily required in the code, it's strongly recommended, it's been the practice that the property be a mixed use type of development, meaning two different uses that are very different. For example, RP type of zoning where you'd have residential and commercial together or something like that. So there, just to show you what the different types of zoning districts could go under a community mixed use land use setting. This is the list right here, one being the community business, which the applicant has requested. But there are several other, including high density housing and industrial parks, healthcare, those even university types of settings could go within that land use setting. So our analysis of this application is that the conversion of the property to a community mixed use land use setting may allow land uses that are not compatible with the surrounding low and medium density residential land use settings. If the commission recommends this to the council, this conversion, the commission could recommend that the council help, or that the applicant formulate a development agreement that would limit the land uses to those that are appropriate for an area adjacent to medium density residential development. However, recommending that type of development agreement may not be a precedent that the commission wishes to set. So that's our analysis on that one. In terms of the annexation and zoning, the proposed zoning to BC, in your staff report, the applicable codes in terms of the stated purpose of the BC zone, as well as the annexation process, those were stated in your staff report. Our analysis of this, again, is that the BC zoning district may not be compatible with medium density residential development as well. And again, the commission could decide to recommend to the council that a development agreement be formulated based on the land use, based on the layout of the property that's been proposed this evening, and any other limits that the commission wishes to add to that development agreement, such as uses, limiting uses that are permitted in the BN zone. And that recordation of the annexation and zoning approval would have to be contingent upon approval of the development agreement. But again, recommending this type of approach may not be a precedent that the commission wishes to set. In other words, there may be, if this were to a more appropriate setting, say for residential mixed use land use designation, land use setting with a BN zoning district would be more appropriate adjacent to medium density residential. That may be more the appropriate avenue to take instead of limiting the other uses through a development agreement. So the correspondence that we received on this project, we received just an email correspondence from Commissioner Turner asking about if the New York Landing subdivision had access off of Alma Street, and we responded that it did. Standard language from the building department. The Parks Department had some requirements, land dedication and easements in adherence to the NAPPA bicycle and pedestrian master plan. The school district indicated a desire for safe routes to schools and sidewalks and lighting. There were several conditions from the engineering department, which is in the staff report. And then today, again, we received a letter from the Boise Project Board of Control indicating an easement requirement on the main South Side Canal. We did receive two letters of correspondence, emails from the public. One was from Deborah Tortellini with several questions, which I will review with you here in just a moment. And then another correspondence from Walter Groditsky indicating opposition and asking that the commission deny the application. The questions that Deborah Tortellini asked were, does the current medium density residential mean patio homes, condos, townhomes, apartments, low-income housing? And it does allow for single family detached, duplex, townhomes, tri and quadruplex, medium density apartments and condominiums per the 2040 comprehensive plan. So that's the current land use setting allows for those things. High density housing is not allowed in the current land use setting. And of course, we encourage low income housing opportunities wherever we can get them. The question to number 2, if no to all of that, is there a possibility that this property could be zoned for those types of dwellings in the future? Based on the answer to question number 1, this can be zoned for these types of units now. So number 3, what exactly will be allowed in the community mixed use annexation and zoning to BC? We'd like to point you to the Planning and Zoning Department's website. That's on page 92, section 5.6.7, answers that question. And then the staff report has a link as well that gives information about the BC zone, and that's on the page 4 of the staff report. Number 4, although the requester has said a community restaurant and storage units will be built on that property, what is to prevent a McDonald's or gas station or other non-residential friendly businesses from being brought into that space? Again, I would point you to the different uses. There's 5 pages of potential uses in the BC zone, and that to the staff report, I'd point you to page 4. And then the P&Z Commission has the capacity to recommend that uses be limited through the formulation of a development agreement if they so wish. Number 5, we've been told that the fencing and landscaping must be similar to that which is currently surrounds Lava Springs development on Locust and Southside. Is that correct? If yes or no, what exactly will be required? I'm going to answer that with question number 6, which also says that we've been told that fencing will be over 9 feet and the roof of the storage units will be at 10 feet to mitigate an eyesore. Is this accurate? So the answer to that is that the restaurant would not have fencing. It's not allowed by code, except screening will be required for any mechanical units and trash enclosures. And landscaping is required along street frontages and in areas not covered by pavement. In terms of the storage units, visual buffering and form of storage unit placement, setbacks, design, visibility from the street and fencing for units that are adjacent to residential development is all required in the code. And a 25-foot landscape buffer is required. So again, I would point you to Nampa City Code section, Title 10, Section 1.19 for any details. And then oh, yes, question?
Doug, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Jeff, but
yeah.
On the storage units, when it says the units that are adjacent to residential development, right now that property is not, what does adjacent mean? Does it mean across the street or does it mean separated by a fence?
My understanding, and Rodney, maybe if you need to chime in, my understanding is that it's an adjacency issue. So a property that's adjacent shares a common property line is my understanding.
I'm sorry. So the question though was, what is adjacent?
Yeah, so I mean, right now that property is not technically adjacent to any residential development. If that doesn't mean, if adjacent means a common property line.
So it's about the adjacency to the zone, not necessarily to a residential property.
Well, talking about the buffering and the visibility from the street, fencing for units that are adjacent to residential development. Well, they wouldn't have to put up any fencing then because they're not technically adjacent to any.
So in the past, we have interpreted adjacent to be directly across the street as well, specifically for storage units. So that would be a requirement.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Rodney. Thanks for the clarification. So in number 7, will a sidewalk be installed on Locust in front of the property? It will be required per the engineering division memo. It's number 8. We already have an issue with water pressure in the Lava Springs community. Has the impact of the additional landscape water need been addressed? I'd have to defer to the engineering division. I don't know, Daniel, are you on board here or?
Yep, I'm here.
Yes.
Okay.
So currently there is construction happening for a new pressure irrigation station with the Southern Ridge development that is very close to being online. And so that will address any pressure issues in that area, and this development would not have a significant impact once that is done.
Okay. Very good, thank you. Number 9, are there any plans to include a 4-way signal at the intersection of Locust and Southside? the engineering department has shown that there will be a roundabout on that intersection. Is there anything else to add, Daniel, to that?
No, we don't currently have a funding source for that. It's one of the ones we're looking at for some grant opportunities, but master planning wise, that is a intersection that we are actively monitoring and looking to identify funding for improvement.
Okay, great, thank you. And lastly, number 10, we've been told that storage units tend to bring more crime into the area. What is I can't read that on my screen because it's covered by a box here, but we contacted the Nampa Police Department, and police chief indicated that they have no evidence that storage units tend to bring more crime into an area. So with that, the recommended findings are listed in your staff report. If you'd like, I can go through those. I think it's important to note that item number 4, that this reiterates the medium density in the community mixed use land use setting is not compatible, or excuse me, the community mixed use land use setting is not compatible with adjacent and existing RS single family residential zoning districts and proposed land uses in the area. So the recommended comments and conditions of approval. So the commission could recommend this approval with all of the comments from the engineering department and the other agencies, and those are listed really in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 of the conditions of approval. And same with 6, 7, and 8. Number 9 is added. This is put in there for your convenience if you decide as a commission that you do want to recommend formulation of a development agreement, as was mentioned in the staff report. That this is the language that you could use in the conditions of approval. So we've added that as number 9. And then number 10 is the easement requirement that was given to us today. So I've highlighted that as one of the additions to the recommended conditions of approval. So with that, I'm sorry for being so verbose. I just wanted to make sure again that was accurate. Here's the requested item to recommend approval or denial of the comprehensive plan future land use map amendment as stated in the staff report, and I stand to take any questions.
Doug, I have a question. This is Brett.
Yeah.
So my question is, so what you're saying with the last slide, basically we can go to approve this, but with a agreement that says, basically what I've been concerned with on a lot of these things is, I know some people just come before us to get the thing changed and then they put the property up for sale, and what they told us they intended to do is not even close to what somebody who purchased bought it. So we can make them go into an agreement with the city that says this is what we intend to do, and then if that changes, what we decided goes away? Or how does that work?
Yeah, so Madam Chair and Commissioner Miller, so the recommendation, you could make a recommendation to the council that they approve the change to the future land use map and the annexation and zoning, with the condition that they have to formulate a development agreement, and that development agreement needs to be completed before the annexation and zoning is recorded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Doug, Commissioner Garner, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I believe that the applicant in her statement was talking about the storage units and saying that they would be a 10-foot eve height adjacent or along Locust in South Side. Was that correct?
Yes, Commissioner Garner, that is what the applicant stated tonight. Yes.
So then I think there was a distinction between the community business that you were talking about and then the neighborhood business. The neighborhood business would limit to 10 feet but community business would not?
That's correct.
Okay, so if she's going with 10-foot eaves, but then she said that she was going to push the RVs, that had to be taller back, would that then violate the neighborhood business if she did that, even if they were pushed farther back?
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioner Gardner, the BN zoning district, or I believe this is in chapter 1 of the zoning code. The BN district does not allow storage units to exceed 10 feet in height.
No matter where they're at?
No matter where they're at.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Rodney, if there's no other questions, Michelle had texted me some questions that you would have liked to talk or ask the applicant, but didn't have time to get it. Can she ask the applicant now through me?
Peggy, did you hear that?
Yes. Does she want to ask now, or do we want to do public testimony and then ask?
I don't care. Do it now and just get over with.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Let's make it after case. Maybe some of the public will have other questions. So yeah, let's do it afterwards. Okay.
All right. Ronnie, do we have anybody signed up to speak for, against,
Yes.
or undecided?
Yes, we do. I will bring that up in a minute.
Tiny.
Can you see that?
There we go. Much better. Okay. So we have Lauren Brown. Is Lauren Brown in attendance or on virtually?
In attendance.
Okay.
How y'all doing? My name's Lauren Brown. I live at 2601 East Andesite Court in Nampa. My residence is just to the west of the proposed property. Just kind of give you a little bit of a short history on me. I did law enforcement for 30 years for the largest sheriff's department in the free world. I did 5 years in a specialized team where I worked directly with the city, from the mayor all the way down to the people that did graffiti cleaning. My last 15 years was a detective where I did crimes from any gang crimes all the way down to graffiti. I know there's some concern about the properties, about crime. On my experience, this actually will help reduce crime by taking vehicles off the street. Mr. Kehoe, where you had asked about how does it reduce that? It's crimes of opportunity. When you have people just driving around looking to break into cars, steal things, you take that opportunity away from them by putting them behind a locked gate. I'm happy that I have a 49-foot RV garage, but unfortunately I didn't build it big enough, so I need actual space myself. And yeah, hopefully if it gets approved. The other thing that I gave some suggestions, I taught for 5 years we had a lot of high density, low income properties in the city that I worked. And we incorporated a lot of the CPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design. We incorporated that with a lot of our property owners, property managers, and dramatically reduced our crime by using some of those things. So I'm in favor for it. Like she said too, my wife and I like to go out. Unfortunately, I retired, so we like to go out to lunch, dinner, breakfast, and there is nothing within a short distance. I've lived here for about 4 years now. And that restaurant that you spoke to at Greenhurst, I've never seen it open. So we always have to drive somewhere else. So I would love to have a place that I could walk to, have a great breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and maybe an adult beverage on top of that. That would be outstanding, and then walk home. And then last thing, to address the traffic issue. If you put even homes in there or medium density, you're going to increase the traffic that's already bad there, as you folks are already considering doing a roundabout there. There's already, I believe the Southern Ridge is going to be 1,500 homes when it's done. And then the Corey Barton home that's down off of Alma, I think that's another 300 to 400 homes. And that's already going to increase the traffic there immensely. And there's already been several fatalities at that intersection. So I just think that that would, by not approving that and changing it to the mixed use, I think that would just increase that possibility there. And last, I think that's about it. So I hope that you take everything in consideration, and I hope that you approve her project. Thank you.
I'm going to remind everybody you have 3 minutes to talk, and I will kind of give you a 15-second warning if you're getting close to your 3 minutes. Okay, the next, the Tortellinis.
How about that? We'll do one instead of two, save you guys some time. So my name is Deborah Tortellini, and I've lived in Lava Springs on the corner of Locust and Southside for 2 years. I personally want to state that I do not know Linda Claiborne personally, nor do I have any business relationship with her. My only knowledge of her is based on a couple of conversations about her plans for the vacant lot. While my husband and I would very much welcome and would vote in favor of a family restaurant on that corner, our biggest concern is that we want to ensure that we do not have high-density residences built on that lot, nor do we want to see any more cheap or low-income housing of any kind on that corner. We do not want to introduce crime into our community. We do not want to devalue our property and already struggle with traffic. And we understand there's already construction, as Larry said, underway to build an additional 300 plus homes south of us on Alma and another 300 or so north of us on Southside. Our community already struggles with irrigation water, low pressure. I know it's already been addressed, but additional homes I think will still have an impact. While we're not opposed to storage units behind the restaurant, we do want to ensure they're low profile from the street view, which has already been discussed, have aesthetic value on the exterior to fit in with the rest of the community and the green spaces that surround the property in keeping with our community. Lastly, we want assurances that if the zoning is changed, the proposed plans for the property, restaurant and storage facility cannot be changed and instead become high density. I think you addressed that with the development agreement, which I really like that idea, and I think it would work under the circumstances. I created a questionnaire on SurveyMonkey and made it available to both the Lava Springs and Southern Ridge neighborhoods. This is my own personal survey. It is not the one that Linda did. I only received 40 responses from the survey. Keep in mind that that represents a very small portion of the homes and homeowners that live there. But I want to share with you the statistics. 92.5% of those surveyed, single choice question, would prefer the proposed family restaurant and storage facility over residential. 87.5% of those surveys, and this was multiple choice, are concerned that residential in that space will create traffic issues. 75% are concerned that multifamily housing will be built. 65% are concerned with crime, and 62.5% are concerned with strain on irrigation pressure if it becomes residential. 52% of those surveyed, again, multiple choice, have no concerns with the family restaurant and storage at all. 37.5% are concerned about additional traffic, and 30% are concerned with crime. 40% of those surveyed, multiple choice, would use the storage, would use it for RV or work trailers or boats. 32% for home goods and 10% for business materials. I had other comments from the survey, but I'll say that most of them had the same thing in common. No CBH, no high density housing. They would prefer this and they would use the storage for business, RV and boating. So thank you for
Can you give us your address for the record, please?
Yes. 2633 East Andesite Court, Nampa.
Thank you very much. I can't see the list to call on the next person. Okay.
It's Larry Segrist, Beth Segrist.
Yes.
Ending up.
Hello, I'm Larry Segrist, live in Lava Springs, 2687 East Rhyolite Court. And it seems like there's some, I like the plan. It could be good for our area. But I also was wondering if we're able to do some kind of development of something like, say, 15 homes on a 1 acre lot with common area, something that has very nice landscaping versus any possibility of, high density homes or multi-family dwellings, apartments, low income, because we definitely don't want any of that. But I do like the idea of a restaurant, as long as it's a guarantee that a restaurant is going to go into that area and it's the right restaurant. It's going to cater to the area. And as far as the design and the buildings that are going in for the storage units and RV units, I would like to see that those are very nice units and not anything like some of the other ones that have been built recently around the area. So that's, I think we could be in favor of what Linda Claiborne is proposing, but I'd like to see more details, pictures, more elevations, and, to see what exactly she wants to put in. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rodney?
Peggy, would you like me to just go through the list?
That would be amazing. Yes, please.
We've got Walt and Carmen Kraditsky.
Walt, standing up.
Good evening. My name is Walt Graditsky. I live in Lava Springs, 2958 East Snake River Drive. I sent the commission an email yesterday. It should be in your packet, so hopefully you read it. My main concern is the zoning. It looks like we're trying to manipulate the land use regulations to fit this project in there, and I'm concerned about the long-term effects of putting in that BC and what was the actual zoning classification?
BC.
BC, right? Yeah. The uses that will be allowed under that particular zoning classification seem totally incompatible with the area. So I'm not sure that some sort of a agreement between the developer and the city would that
That's
keep
the
that from?
development agreement they were talking about earlier. That's where that
Right.
would come in. But the thing is, the city council doesn't normally approve those in this area. So if you guys want that to happen, you need to go to the city council meeting. If you don't go, it'll never happen.
Well, I don't want it to happen.
Well, then you need to
So-
talk to.
So I was going to ask, are you opposed to this or are
Yes,
you
I'm
in
opposed to
favor?
it.
Oh, was he on the list as in favor?
No, I shouldn't be.
It did say opposed? Okay, I'm sorry.
I think so.
So it has nothing really to do with the nature of the proposed development, but more with the change to the zoning for that area. If they can't fit in with whatever zoning would be appropriate for that area, then they should be looking at a different site and not trying to manipulate the land use regulations in this way. So that's my main concern. Long-term, we don't know how long that would be there, or like someone else mentioned, what if the property's sold before they ever actually start development, and then we have this hassle of trying to figure out what goes in there. So that's my comment on the zoning issue.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
And Madam Chair and Commissioners, I'm sorry about this list. It auto-populates when
Oh,
we
I see.
generate it. And so
Doesn't have.
it doesn't go in order of in favor or opposed.
I was confused for a second.
Yeah.
Me too.
So now we have Phil Warcole. Warsall.
Hi, council members. I probably should have given my business address is 300 West Park Center Drive in Boise, Idaho. I gave my personal. I've been initially contacted by Linda. We're a Forge Building Company. We build 90% of the self-storage projects in the state of Idaho, and we build in 40 states, but we're located in Boise. probably a good thing I brought my flash drive. If that's possible to bring it up, I could show a few illustrations of some of the projects we've done in the past. I know that there's been concerns about noise, hours of operation, and we usually we do work with our clients to mitigate those factors along with following every code, because as everyone knows, we can't build anything unless we follow municipalities' plans. If you look under projects JPEGs right there, and you can go ahead and.
Oh, I'm sorry, I need to share my screen here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll just show a few of our projects so everybody in the room can get an idea of some of the things we build. If you want to grab that Storage Express on Cloverdale Road towards the bottom. Some quick illustrations. Usually we buffer the adjacent properties. That will usually be the back side of our projects. And we can use different metals and panels to literally look like the residential areas in the adjacent neighborhoods.
Give me a second, something is not working there.
You can grab another one if you'd like to, if it's a JPEG file. But essentially, we are very sensitive to those factors, and we talk to municipalities all over the state about these very things all the time. We can.
Okay. This one maybe.
We have success, and if you could enlarge that a little bit, that's actually a good one. That's presently a project we're doing in Twin Falls. Some background on that is the last person to build a self-storage project there pulled a fast one on the city council. And so we're actually under a great deal of microscopic view on how this one's going to look. But as you can see, the building breaks. This is near very similar residences with those type of slope roofs. But as you drive by the building, a lot of times you can't even tell that you're looking at a storage facility. So this is an example of how we basically hide the facility from the neighborhood. If the facility is only open from, let's say, 9 in the morning to 9 at night, you have less traffic, sometimes as little as 10 car trips going into that facility a day. But this is some of the architectural features that we can do. We have multiple projects, Extra Space, Allenbahn, Boise, and I know I'm running out of time here, but I just did want to give an indication, because I know how sensitive a lot of the people in the audience are as to, if you drive around town, you can see the whole range of self-storage projects. Some look pretty bad. I'm not saying specific to Nampa, anywhere in the Treasure Valley, if they're not maintained, but just letting everybody know that we can provide a good-looking example. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I think the time is up for the, yeah.
Yeah.
One of them. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting there.
This doesn't cut into the next testimony, does it, the time?
No.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely it does.
So I have Marilyn McIntyre.
Hi, I'm Marilyn McIntyre, and I live at 4015 South Lava Springs in Lava Springs. And I just want to say I am for this project. I want to thank Linda. She's been very supportive for our neighborhood, trying to, you know, keep us involved and letting us have our opinions about it. And I think it's a great project. I think it will be peaceful, it'll keep our neighborhood quiet, less traffic. And I think it'll be easy to construct because, as Linda pointed out, there's not going to be any crawl spaces. And we have a neighborhood across the street from us on Locust that they had to dynamite because there's lava underneath the ground. They have been working on that for 8 months, and that's super inconvenient and dirty. And this should be, quick and clean. And I would love to have a restaurant, so that'd be great. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we have Doug I'm gonna try Broget.
He figured it out.
My name is Doug Broche. I'm at 4418 South Lava Springs Loop. I'm directly across the street from this vacant property. It's a little bit more north of me. I'm 100% behind it. Linda has talked about the type of restaurant that she wants to put in there. And I've been to the restaurant. It's very nice, classy place. The hours, I believe, is going to close at 10 in the evening, which would be great. RV spaces and new subdivisions. Most of the subdivisions being built nowadays got away from the 5 and 10 foot setbacks and went to 5 and 5. When I lived in Meridian, they used to have 5 foot side and you had 20 feet to the side. I've had an RV since 2003. And so I've been able to park my RV beside the house, and there was no restriction on the height above the fence. Now these subdivisions are 5 and 5. You can't park an RV behind your fence if it exceeds 6 feet in height. So, and RV sales are going out of sight nowadays. More and more people are getting them. So we need more and more spaces to park those RVs. We have issues within our subdivision. Presently, we have one right now with a motorhome and a trailer that's parked in their driveway. It's been there for 4 days. We have a restriction that the RVs can only be there for 24 hours. So it's a problem. And we need this. There's so many subdivisions around us with more and more traffic on our roads. They did reduce the speed limit on the south side to 35, which really helped. It was 50. I'm 100% behind it, and I've got the first space in the RV spot.
Well, now we know why you're 100% behind
Yeah,
it.
that's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's called selling your vote, though.
So now we had Susan. She indicated she did not wish to speak.
Okay.
Okay.
Is she
And then
opposed or
Danny Schuster.
favor?
Sorry, yes, she is in favor. And then Danny Schuster is the applicant. And then Jeff Hatch indicated he is in favor, but didn't need to speak unless. Oh. For some reason, we had you down as an applicant, so Danny Schuster indicated he would like to speak. So
Can be confused because I am the agent for the selling and the buying. So I'm representing the Cranics and Linda. So I do live, I don't know where to look, here, there.
You can look at the ceiling or the floor.
Where
you want.
You've seen me up here a few times with David Bills doing our last few subdivisions. So hello, everybody again. I think I live about 200 yards away, just over the New York Canal, maybe 300 yards, a few hundred yards away. And that's how I knew Richard from the listing, get this sold from him. And
Give us your address for the record, please.
4817 Southside Boulevard.
Thank you.
Yep. And I can say the other folks that have been calling me, the other developers that want to place something on this property are commercial applicants. So they either want to put multiple apartments, family, or some commercial aspect. I've talked to Corey. I've got a connection to him through his wife 3 or 4 times on this property, and he wants nothing to do with it. So I can say that CBH most likely isn't going there if this isn't passed. So I'm for it. I've got an RV now that is too high for the building that I actually bought for my fifth wheel, and I need a place to go. So it'd be nice to have the restaurant, the RV there. As far as what's underground there, we know, obviously watching Lava Springs and Lava Falls, there's lots of rock under there. So the applicants that are coming through that want to put offers on these places are either lowballing the sellers, or they're wanting to put where there's one in for most of the services, and they're just putting apartment buildings similar to what's up off of Happy Valley, what I've been told. And that's the person that actually wants to put the backup offer on it right now. So if it doesn't go with this one, it'll be another one coming in here saying, hey, we want to put multiple families inside of here. And that's the next one coming up. So in favor? And I can say it's probably, in my opinion, the best thing for the area, something where you can just come in, have less traffic. Are we putting that roundabout in?
A couple of years down the road.
Okay, so it is.
It's down the road.
For the future. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, in favor. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. And then Will Mason, and I think he's spoken already, so, and that's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All righty. Steve, the questions?
Yeah.
From Michelle?
Back up.
Yeah. Do you want Linda or Mr. Mason?
Linda be better.
Is there, before we go there, Madam Chair, since we have people in the audience, do you want to ask if there's anyone else that wants to testify in or against?
Definitely.
Okay.
If Ronnie didn't do so, yes. Is there anybody there present that would care to testify?
No one is responding.
Okay.
I can sleep tonight.
So her first question was this going to be a smoking establishment, the restaurant, or non-smoking?
Non-smoking.
Non-smoking. Thank you.
I don't even know if that's legal anymore.
I don't know, to tell you the truth. Security cameras, will you have lots of security cameras?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And as I call him Larry, the former police officer that spoke, he actually referred me to this wonderful website called CPTED, which is Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. And it shows you how to do certain camera heights and angles, and there will be lighting from dusk to dawn that's dim, no bright spotlights, but definitely security cameras. And in the staff report that was given to Will and myself with those 9 recommendations, 1 through 5 are fine. They're all great. The irrigation rights, because this is going to be done in phases, I can't give them to you yet, because Mr. Kranick is going to continue to mow down the field and grow hay, and he'll need that irrigation. But after that, I think it's great to let the water go to the farmers instead of watering more residential backyards in that area, and also not decrease the water pressure in Lava Springs.
And your facility will house boats and motorhomes and trailers, and just not being limited to just motorhomes?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that's all she had.
Any other questions while I'm up here?
But I'd like to make just a statement.
Yes.
If not, that you can sit down.
Okay.
For those of you that have motorhomes in your streets and subdivisions, the police department has a team, an abandoned vehicle team, that will go out to your area, analyze the situation, and if they're there illegally, they will have them move it or be paying a hefty fine, $120. So call the police department. They have a unit designed just to remove those vehicles from the streets. Now, if it's on property, private property, they can't do anything. But if it's on the street, they can get rid of it for you, and they do. My neighbor had one, and my next door neighbor called them, and the next day they were out there. The day after that, the vehicle was gone. It works. Call the police department. They're not busy.
All right, I would entertain a motion to close public hearing.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
This is Rodney. I would just say that I'm not sure we gave the applicant adequate ability to rebut any of the questions from any of the comments. There was one comment that was against the project. So I would suggest that you allow the applicant back up to answering questions.
Thank you very much. If you two have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. I do believe that amending the comprehensive.
Could talk in the mic and
Oh,
address the
sorry.
commission.
Oh,
So
sorry, not the people. Okay. I do believe that amending the comprehensive plan in this particular circumstances is advantageous. I've proven that there is a need, so the police don't have to come and tow people's vehicles away, and they don't have to pay thousands of dollars, and they don't have to keep driving
It's
it
only
around.
120.
Okay, well, if it happens more than once. So I believe that I have proved beyond the shadow of a doubt that there is a need. There is no restaurants in that area. Everyone would welcome that. I have proven that I have support. I have had a neighborhood meeting. I have sent out letters. I have tried to communicate with everybody and honor everybody's concerns. I am willing to sign a developmental agreement as long as it pertains to the proposal that I have submitted with the 10-foot eaves that are adjacent to the streets, and then following the 100-foot setbacks for the taller buildings, and that's why I need the BC and not the BN. But hours, no 24/7. And if anybody else has any questions, I'd be happy to address those.
I do have a question
Yes, please.
concerning individuals who would use that RV or the storage area to park their business vehicles or for business uses. And I mean, in my neighborhood, I would love to see that happen, but I don't know how that would happen. Do you have any evidence that that's what will happen?
Yeah, I actually strategically went up to the door of people's homes in Royal Meadows that had an HVAC van in their driveway, or a plumbing, or a roofing, or a landscaper. And I went to 5. And 2 of them actually weren't concerned because they were just the worker bees, worked for another company. But they both did say that, yes, every morning and every evening, it took an extra hour to go load up at a storage facility for their equipment for the day. The other 3 were self-employed, and they were thrilled that they could rent the flex space, drive right in, and know that their equipment and materials were being housed in a safe, secure place because they'd already been robbed. Especially the landscaping, as the former officer stated, it just, not that there's criminals, but it's just opportunistic, and their kids or whatever. But it would take the cars off the streets. It would take the vans and the trailers out of the neighborhood. It would look nicer, and they'd have more family time. That's 2 to 3 hours every day that they're getting to spend with their family instead of driving across town to load up their vans. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Matt. I got a question for Rodney if he's available.
Sure.
Rodney, I know that in the discussion about the storage units and everything that we were going through with that, and there was some discussion about pushing storage units back and then building screening buildings or other uses on the frontage. Did that ever pass? Where does that lie?
Yeah, Madam Chair and Commissioner Garner, that did pass. And what it does is it allows in the conditional use permit process that goes before City Council at this time for the City Council to decide up to 150 feet buffer back behind another use. So they have to decide when it comes before them, they'll have to decide, first of all, if the comprehensive plan future land use map amendment should go forward, whether it should be annexed and zoned to BC or some other, but they've requested BC, so they'll have to decide that. And then last of all, they'll have to consider the conditional use permit and decide if they would like to require the 150-foot setback, up to 150-foot setback.
Okay, so that's going to be something that that's another bridge they'll cross later then, basically.
That's correct.
Okay. I just noticed I was looking, briefly at the site plan and was wondering how that was going to work with the with the frontages and screening, all that, so. Thank you, Rodney.
So on that note, Rodney, if the city council does not approve the conditional use permit for storage, then pretty much the project is, they'd have to come back with something else then.
That's correct. I would assume that the applicant would not want to move forward with the rest of it at that time. But they could negotiate that with city council as to whether they want to proceed with BC. Let's say the city council says, yes, that's an appropriate location for community mixed use, and then BC zoning, then the applicant would need to decide if they want to move forward with that and bring other uses in if the conditional use permit is not granted.
So just because I got a couple of hands going up out here, Madam Chair, I just wanted to let you know this is your decision, I guess, but we haven't closed public hearing yet, but there's a couple of hands going up. I don't know if they wanted to say something else, but I knew you couldn't see them.
Right.
So it's up to you, I guess.
If there are people that haven't testified, they can come up, but if they've already testified, they've had their 3 minutes, so.
Yeah. Individuals who are raising their hand have testified, so.
Okay.
No. They're asking if they can ask questions. That's came from them also.
But Rodney stated no, right?
If you take further testimony, you have to go through the entire process again and allow everyone to speak again.
I'm just being the eyes for Madam Madam Chair.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, but if they've testified, they're done.
All right. Very good. Well, I make a motion that we close public hearing.
Second. Steve.
Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Steve to close public hearing. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is now closed. So this is a recommendation to council. Can you put the motion back up there, Rodney?
That would be Doug, but
Doug, well, okay. Well, I thought you were sitting at the computer, so sorry. What do you guys want to do?
Madam Chair, this is Tom.
Go ahead.
You know, I was looking at this earlier and I was not in favor of it, but now looking at it and hearing everybody's testimony and seeing how much ground is actually going to be lost with the 2 irrigation canals and their right of ways, to have a developer come in there and put in single family residence like an RS6, they're losing so much ground. It's not going to make a lot of feasibility sense with the amount they're going to lose that they can't build on. So I think you're either going to have something like this, or you're going to end up with multifamily where they can get the doors on there to make it work instead of a residential neighborhood. I think those 2 canals are just taking so much land away that they could build on. It's just not going to be cost effective. So I've changed my mind after looking at everything and listening to everybody. I'm leaning in favor of it, but with some very strict restrictions on a development agreement to where it's what she's asking for and absolutely nothing else. If that doesn't work, then it's got to come back and with a new plan and not just get the zoning changed and then anybody can use it for whatever they want. So that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Is that a motion, Tom?
Well, thought maybe somebody else might have something to say, but I'm looking at that and just realizing how much ground is actually lost with those canals. That's a lot of building sites.
Tom, you stated the facts. Just put it into the motion.
Madam Chair, this is Ron.
Yes.
I agree with Tom. I think proximity to that intersection and where sometime we're going to be building a pretty good sized roundabout there, access is going to be a challenge, and this type of use storage, which is needed due to the proximity of the homes, and it's kind of a proven concept based on the survey. And you know, it'd probably be nice to have some kind of service right there on the corner, commercial service right there in the corner as well, at a restaurant. Access will be a challenge if you put a ton of residential doors or single family homes in there. So
Right.
I think it's a good plan as well. And even a development agreement for this project, I'm usually opposed if you can get away from them, but in this scenario, I think it makes a lot of sense to limit use. So that's my 2 cents. And unless anybody else has something to say, I can make the motion.
What is anyone, this is Madam Chair, this is Jeff, and I'm with Tom. I tried to come into this with an open mind and not really have a decision set. I wanted to hear public testimony. I was frankly quite surprised that there weren't more opposed to this. And so it's good to see those who are in favor show up and voice their opinion. I love seeing that in public testimony. I'll have some conversation with my neighbors when I get home. If they were opposed or in favor, why they didn't show up. So, but I love the idea of a restaurant. And me and my wife have talked about that all the time. I wish there was a place that we could walk to instead of drive to. And I really appreciate the walkability factor in a development proposal like this. I'm not totally excited about the storage units in this location, but like Tom said, this piece of property has some challenges the way it's laid out. And yeah, I could totally see if something like a storage unit or something to that effect wasn't here, we'd be seeing condos, or we'd be seeing an apartment building, because basically that's what you could put on this. So I do appreciate the foresight that the applicant has brought to this project and thinking about that. I will be very disappointed if there's not a restaurant on the corner at some point down the future, and my wife will be more disappointed. The traffic, traffic always comes up in everything that comes before the commission and everything that comes before the city council. And it almost becomes one of those words that goes in one ear and out the other, because there's just not a whole lot that we can do. It's going to be there no matter what. And yes, the city is doing everything they can to mitigate traffic and issues and on and on and on. And yes, we will still continue to be frustrated and curse at them as we go down the road and all that other kind of stuff. So I'm not that concerned about traffic. Like I said, I live in the area. I'm thankful for the 4-way stop that is there right now, as opposed to the 50-mile-an-hour freeway that used to run through there. So I am in favor of this project. Like I said, I'm not totally excited about the storage units, but there is a need. There definitely is a need. And we had this discussion as a commission. We want the market. I think we kind of all agreed that we want the market to determine what is needed. And I'm in 100% agreement with that. And to be honest with you, I know many in my neighborhood that could actually use a spot to park their boat or motorhome or trailer. So I appreciate the market dictating the decision in this development to go forward. And I'm in favor of it. So, sorry, Commissioner Van Ocker, you can make your motion now.
So before I do that, I've just got a question for Rodney. In regard to the development agreement, or Doug, whoever wants to take it. In regard to the development agreement, do we just kind of outline use restriction without going into too much detail on, just have the applicant work with staff to reach some kind of development agreement with respect to the use and keep it limited to the storage concept with a restaurant on the corner, or how do you want us to word that?
Go ahead, Doug.
Yes, Madam Chair and Commissioner. So my understanding is that they would have to write up a development agreement with whatever restrictions whatever restrictions on the land use that the commission would like to put on that. And then that development agreement that would then come before you, I believe, Rodney, right, as a development agreement before the Planning Commission, which then would recommend to the council for approval of that development agreement.
Right.
Yep.
It would go to council.
It doesn't go to Planning Commission then.
That's correct.
Okay, so that would go to I guess what I'm not certain about is would those recommendations need to come tonight then, Rodney, or is that something that that's what I'm not certain about. This is a new process for me, so.
So Doug, I believe you had some conditions that listed the content of the development agreement. Can you go back to that slide?
Yeah, that was, those were conditions though that were fairly broad. They're not very specific, and I'll bring that slide back up.
I've got it. The staff report right
Yeah.
here.
There we go.
Okay, I got it. So,
yeah,
all right,
that's fine.
I'll take a stab at the motion. So, back to my agenda, so I can see that. So I'll make the motion that we recommend to City Council a comprehensive plan feature land use map amendment, medium density residential to community mixed use and annexation and zoning to BC at 0 East Locust Lane to allow for public storage units and restaurant for Linda Claiborne, with all conditions of staff and the condition for the applicant to formulate a development agreement restricting the use to the development of the project to be storage unit with a restaurant component on the corner as it's laid out on the rough site plan that we have before us tonight. And they can work with staff to draft that development agreement and ready to present it to the City Council when they're on the agenda.
I'll second it.
Number, Commissioner Van Acker, did you want to add number 10 in there too? Of the conditions of approval?
Yep.
Okay, so Ron made the motion and who did the second? Because I didn't hear.
I did, Tom.
Tom, okay. Ron and then Tom. Okay, it's been a motion to make a recommendation to council to approve it with a very detailed development agreement. All those in favor, Steve?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Matt?
Aye.
Adam?
Aye.
Brett?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Okay, that is going to city council. Okay. Number.
Thank you guys so very much.
Sorry, there's no balloons and fireworks or anything like that, but.
Okay, public hearing number 3, which is enabled number 1, for conditional use permit for assisted living facility. Is Barbara Johnson there?
She is.
Okay.
No, you're fine. I'm glad you're fine. Worked really hard on that. Good evening. I'm Barbara Johnson. I live at 900 Augusta Drive in Nampa. And in my former life, I was a school administrator. And I have to share a brief story with you. I was at No Greater Love one night, and the pastor was going around to every chair, looking at it and looking at it. And of course, being paranoid like an administrator is, expecting the worst, I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if there's a bomb threat. Well, no, he was blessing every chair. And so I'm glad all these people were here for Linda and not me, and ready to pounce on me to say they didn't want our project.
They're waiting out in the hall.
Oh, okay. Well, if I could impose on you for just a moment to humor me and close your eyes for a second, get a little break, close your eyes. And imagine that your doctor called you into the office and you live in a place like Stanley or McCall or even Emmett, which is pretty far from here, pretty far from a cancer treatment center. And the doctor looks at you and says, you have cancer. And probably your first response is, am I going to die? Your second response is, by living way out in those rural areas, where am I going to go for treatment? And the answer is you probably have to come into the Treasure Valley. And doing so, say you're faced with 7 weeks of radiation every day. You're thinking, well, how am I going to pay for that? And that is why Chase Away the Clouds was born. We want to provide cost-free or low-cost housing for adult cancer patients, something that the Ronald McDonald House does not do. They only house people until the age of 18. We want to start at 18 and help people with an affordable place to stay. We also want to provide free temporary housing once our project is established and we can qualify for grants and community support. And I'm sorry that I can't provide all the technical information for you. And I was sitting here and I was thinking, I told David Ferdinand that he didn't have to come tonight because I know he has a prayer group on Wednesday. And I thought, no, I need all the prayers he can give us. So I thought I better let him do that. But I'm so happy that he is here and perhaps can answer any technical questions for you. The unit in question is at 601 West Blaine. It's a home that was initially built as an independent living facility. So being an independent living facility, you don't have all the cars that an 8-bedroom place might have. And we thought about it and we realized that we cannot accommodate 8 people because we can't really accommodate 8 cars. You don't want people parked in the street or down the street, and if it's snowing or raining. And these are cancer patients. You want to provide the best possible temporary home that you can. And so what we plan to do is change 3 of the bedrooms into 2 suites, another 3 bedrooms into 2 suites, keep 1 bedroom in reserve as a safety net, because so often when you're in treatment, the hospital changes dates on you. And if you've reserved a room and then the next person is coming in the next day and the hospital tells you, I'm sorry, you still need to stay in town, we're going to have 1 room in reserve as a safety net, which we can give to the person for free because our budget will allow us to do that. We also are not going to charge people if they wish to stay on the weekends. And we're hoping that after the first year, we can provide no cost housing because that's what we really want to do. All of us on the board are cancer survivors and we know what it's like to travel for cancer treatment. And I hope you will consider our proposal and grant us a conditional use permit. And I'm going to ask if David could take over.
I have a question for you, ma'am.
Sure.
What did you say the address of the property was?
601.
601, okay.
West Blaine, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And a quick question also.
Sure.
Is a place like this, a facility like this, and I don't know if that's the right term to use, facility, but is this governed by medical association or boards or anything like that in Idaho?
I checked and no, it's not because we're not providing any medical care. Not
Just
at
a
all.
place to
No
stay.
nurses, nobody like that.
Okay.
If a patient needs oxygen, they need to arrange that on their own.
I see.
So one thing I did neglect in telling you, right now there's parking for 2 cars in front of the garage. There's also additional space where they had a handicap parking spot and then grass and a tree. We would have to remove the tree and add to the cement area. And then we could have 4 cars. So we could accommodate everybody and even handicap parking.
So it's not hospice care or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
No,
And then-
that would require
Yeah.
it's a whole different thing.
Right.
Yeah, we're focusing on people who want to live.
Is there anything like this in the valley?
There's nothing in the immediate area. There's
Mhm.
one out in Emmett, and that's a 4-patient facility, limited to St. Luke's people.
Oh.
And then you have another one in Boise. You have a couple. One is very old, and so it's not handicap accessible.
I see. Okay.
And you also have a new one where St. Luke's took over the former Ronald McDonald House.
Right,
And that's again for just St. Luke's people.
right.
So this is for people who live 25 miles or more away from this area where we have 2 state-of-the-art hospitals providing cancer treatment.
I love it.
I'm
Thank you.
glad. I love it too. Any other questions? Do you want David? Anyways, hopefully once it's established, you'll come and donate. I'll bring brownies. You can come and do a barbecue.
Becky?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Chair and Commissioners, Rodney Ashby, Director, Planning and Zoning. I love to be a planner because we get so many different things happen every day. I never know what we're going to get, and this is a unique one for us. We haven't seen this before, this specific type of land use. So we're kind of putting a square peg into a round hole here a little bit, but our code allows that. Allows for us to go before you with a conditional use permit to meet these needs. As you can see here, this is where the property is. It's right below the red dot on your screen. It's a pretty good sized home there, existing home fronting Blaine Avenue, and access is from Blaine Avenue. I think the applicant did a good job of describing what she's planning to do there, so I'll keep going. As she stated, there was original talk about 8 or maybe even 6 tenants or residents in the home, and now they've reduced that to 4 tenants because of the parking and traffic and those types of concerns, as well as comfort for the residents. The comprehensive plan is medium density residential, as you can see on the screen there. It's next to parks, of course. That's the West Park, the north there. The existing zoning is the RS6 zone. Here's the property, an aerial view of it. Basically farmland, and to the east, farmland, which is the future expansion of St. Paul's Catholic Church and School. RS22 zoning, plus the existing subdivisions in the area, as well as West Park. So this is a screenshot of the Google Street View of the property. As you can see here, she's parked, or the owner has parked 3 vehicles out in front. As the applicant has stated, it's likely that they could put an additional amount of parking here. It may impact the landscaping on that far side, that east side of the property. But it seems reasonable that they could fit in 4 vehicles in that location if that is the will of the commission. Correspondence, basically nothing. We didn't receive very much at all. Of course, Nampa Building Department stated that Title IV would be needed to be followed for any building permits. And, so other than that, we don't really have much. These are the legal basis for approving or denying a CUP. I think you're well versed in those requirements. So just a couple of other highlights of applicable regulations. 10.3 is the schedule of land uses. It requires a conditional use permit for an assisted living facility in an RS6 zone or an RS zone, any RS zone. And basically I tried to fit it into that category the best I could. That seemed to be the closest fit to what the use was being proposed. Nursing home 1022.6b just states that nursing homes and other similar facilities require only one parking space for every 5 beds plus 1 for each employee. This doesn't fit exactly that nursing home, assisted living facility type of parking. So staff would just recommend that we address that through or recommend 1 parking space per resident as the applicant has proposed. I just wanted to highlight this. Perhaps Daniel would be the appropriate person to speak to this, but I believe that engineering would need to approve the access if they expand their driveway to rolled curb. I believe that's the case, but he might be able to speak to that better than I can.
Madam Chair, the expansion of a drive approach would just need a right-of-way permit. The roadway there and looking at that does not appear that it would be any issue to grant that permit. They would just need to hire a contractor and pull the permit to be able to do that work.
Good.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel. So I just also included a quick reference to traffic. It's unlikely to cause significant impacts to traffic in the area. These are the recommended findings. They're in your staff report. Suggested conditions of approval would be also, I just highlight number 4, the conditional use permit is granted only to the applicant on this specific property for the said purpose of providing temporary dwellings for those receiving medical care and shall not be transferable to any other individual business or location. And I just wanted to highlight that because it speaks back to the previous application and public hearing, in that if we make an exception or a conditional use permit and then somebody else comes in, they expand the number of residents in there, there's problems with parking or whatever, we have had no opportunity to address that new owner. And so that is my recommendation, that it be used for that specific purpose and not for any other. And with that, I would stand for questions.
I do have a question, Madam Chair. This is Jeff. If you could go back just one slide there. It's a question about parking. And I know in every subdivision, on every residential street, you're going to have cars parked on the street, in the curb and the gutter. It is, and I'm not sure of the statute or the ordinance, but if you have a 3-car garage, are you only allowed 3 cars?
No.
Okay, so how can we then limit this to just 4 cars and mandate that they have a parking stall for each of those cars? Do you see where I'm going with that? I mean, if they have the owners of the house
7 kids.
have 2 vehicles, and then they have 4 people staying there, each with a vehicle, you've got 6 vehicles now. Couldn't they park a couple of cars on the street temporarily? I mean, or are they going to be required to have each one of those cars in a parking stall off street?
So, Madam Chair and Commissioners, I would just say that this is a minimum, right? So we provide a minimum required on the property. And then if they have more than that,
Okay.
then they're probably going to be on the street or somewhere, somewhere in the near vicinity. If they have less than that, they're available if they are needed. The applicant has stated, though, that those 4 access driveways would be directly off of Blaine Avenue. They also have the 2-car garage on that property. So there is actually 6 stalls or 6 places for vehicles to go on the property if they develop it out as they've stated.
Okay, and I understand that. So I guess I just want to make sure that the city's not going to ding the property owners if there happens to be 6 or maybe 7 cars and maybe 1 car is parked on the street, because we may have approved this with these conditions of approval. That's what I'm getting at. I don't want it to be punitive for the property owners if they have more cars than they have stalls to park them in.
So, Madam Chair and Commissioners, I guess I look back to what's the purpose? We have 4 different spaces where people can dwell in this home, right? A large bedrooms or living quarters for people getting cancer treatment. If there's 4 there, perhaps there's going to be more than
You got the workers.
2. So they're actually, I don't know, that is a question that perhaps the applicant should address at the end here, because I'm not certain that there is going to be someone living in that home during the time that those 4 residents are in there.
Okay,
I don't
that's a good
know.
question.
It doesn't sound like that's what's happening here. It's just available for them to live in, and they don't have workers in there.
Okay.
But again, that's a question.
No, I'll pose that question to the applicant then. Absolutely. Thank you.
Rodney, I do have a question.
Okay.
This is Matt. So this place was used as a group home prior. I know it personally. I have a very good friend that actually lived there, a disabled man. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that garage was also converted to a living quarters. Is that going to be part of the accounting as far as figuring out the number of bedrooms? Was that one of the bedrooms? And if so, how does that figure into this? Is it able to stay in living quarters out there, or does it need to be converted back to a garage? I don't know, but that was just a question I might have as far as in its relation to the parking question.
Madam Chair and Commissioner Garner, I think that's probably a question best answered by the applicant. They can speak to that.
You're very good at deflecting, Rodney. We appreciate
Experience.
Yeah.
Is there anybody signed up for public testimony, Rodney?
Don't
One.
believe so.
No.
Let me look real quick.
You want to? You have one.
Oh, we do have one.
I don't know who it is, but it's the guy sitting over there.
Is there anybody else? You did not sign up. Okay, come on up.
But we'll make an exception in his case. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my goodness.
I did not sign up, but Madam Chair, I would like to speak. This is David Ferdinand. My address is 2419 West Heron Loop. And at one point in time, I lived on the other side of this complex in the old Bonnie Bray subdivision on Inverness Drive. This is across the street from West Park. And as Matt had stated, it was a group home. And because it was a group home, they probably had 4 or 5 cars coming and going, but they didn't have cars, most of those people that were there. To answer the question that was just brought up, the garage is still a garage. I also happen to be the real estate agent on this project, and we went through the house. It's a 2-car garage. The only thing that was in there when we looked at it was there's a Fender guitar and amplifier still in there, but they tell me that they will not leave that for me, that they're going to take that. So but it's an 8-bedroom facility that has a 9th bedroom that was for their caretaker that was there. The project, I've been involved with the Chase Away the Clouds organization and Barbara Johnson and that board. We did fundraisers. We've done a lot of projects over the last 5 or 8 years. I'm trying to think how long. We were going to build a facility, but this came on the market, and we really feel like with a kitchen, with the showers, with the individual units, we'd like to maybe expand those because, as was stated, or the question was, there are some people that may have a relative that may want to come with them from out of town. And so the idea went from 8 bedrooms to make them a little larger, possibly, so that you could accommodate maybe 2 people in a room. Each one of these rooms has their own restroom, their own sink, but they don't all have showers. There's one community shower. And so that's some of the future plans that they'd like to do for that. And when we started talking to staff regarding parking, we really felt that a lower number, and if you do get somebody that needs to come and stay along with that individual, then they could still be in one of those bedrooms, but you wouldn't have any more automobiles. And so you do, in fact, as we understand it, I don't know when it changed, but it is a 2-car garage. And with the expanded area that we talked to some of the contractors with, they feel that they could expand that to the side and have a sufficient number of cars. So I'm obviously in favor of the conditional use permit. We have not completed the sale on this property until we get through this process. Yep. Stand for any questions.
So it's a conditional use permit then, right? Got it.
Hey, David?
Yes.
This is Matt again.
Yes.
Does this have any affiliation with First Church, kind of like the care house? Is this anything to do with that? Or
No.
is this just an individual entity here?
And we should have stated that. Thank you for the question, Matt. This is a 501c3 standalone ministry organization. We have gone out into the community. I am also on the St. Alphonsus Foundation Board, and I can tell you that with the new cancer care facility, we looked at the number of people that could possibly use this facility, and they would have to be cleared through those cancer facilities before they would come to this. This is not just an open deal, but is what's called a respite lodge around the country. And so it's its own standalone 501c3.
Thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? Thank you.
Rodney, nobody else is there to testify?
Nope.
Does anybody else have any other questions for the applicant?
No, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Second, Steve.
Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Steve to close public hearing. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Sounds like a neat thing to me.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll move this right along. I think this is great. I think it's needed, and I will make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit for an assisted living facility for temporary housing for adults receiving cancer treatment in an RS6 zoning district at 601 West Blaine Avenue for Barbara Johnson, Chase Away the Clouds Incorporated, with all conditions of staff.
Second.
Sorry.
Okay, motion by Jeff, second by Matt. All those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Public hearing item number 4. Oh, we get to hear from Christy tonight. Yay.
Madam Chair.
Tom?
Yeah.
Tom,
Yeah.
before you say anything,
Yes, ma'am.
if you do recuse yourself, please do not leave.
Bummer.
I have a question for you, so finish your statement, please.
Okay, well, I'm involved with this project, and so I could get some financial gain out of it, so I'm going to recuse myself so I don't have any say-so in it.
So you won't be voting. Okay, Tom, we'll keep that in mind, but sounds like you're going to get questioned anyway.
You'll be testifying.
Okay, so Tom,
Yes.
we respectfully request that you become the applicant on this project.
What happened to Daniel? He was supposed to be there.
He's here. He would just rather have you presented if that's okay with you.
Oh, sure, I suppose.
Thank you.
I think there's some backroom finagling going on in here.
Yeah. Let's move
All
it
right,
on.
Tom, you're up.
Okay, so this project was brought to us a few months back, and the developer was going to split it in half and do 2 fourplexes on one side and 3 fourplexes on the other. He has since, we've talked, and we're trying to come in with some housing under 200,000, and so he's trying to get it changed over to townhomes with 0 lot lines. And so we will have 20 individual, 20 individual single-family residents there. And they're about 1,450 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, all surface parking. There's no garages on these. So that's all he wants to do is just go from duplex or from fourplex to single-family townhomes style with 0 lot lines.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. Anybody got any questions?
Not yet.
I'll hang around.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Christy Watkins, Principal Planner for the City of Nampa. The request before you tonight is the approval of the preliminary plat for North Meadows subdivision located at 129 2nd Avenue North. The property is currently inside the city limits within the RML or Limited Multiple Family Zoning District. It is surrounded by other RML zoned properties on the north, south, and west, and heavy industrial to the east. Utilities are existing and emergency services are available to this location. The comprehensive plan designates this as medium density residential. A number of housing types are encouraged in this designation, including townhomes, which this proposal for this plat is presenting tonight. The preliminary plat, as Tom stated, proposes 20 buildable lots. It includes 5 structures, each with 4 attached single-family dwelling units. So in the analysis for the RML zone, a 4-unit building requires a base lot of 8,700 square feet. In this development, the smallest base lot proposed is measured at 8,888 square feet. For townhomes, the master lot can be divided by the four units in this case, or the number of units, to fit the width of the product being built. The smallest individual lot here is 1,840 square feet. So the plat base lots, in this case, are compliant. There are no lot width or depth requirements in the RML zone. A landscape plan was not submitted with this preliminary plat, but it will be required with the final plat submittal. Correspondence was received from the building department and the engineering division with their standard development requirements. The buildings have already been constructed and services have been installed, so their comments were minimal since they've already been reviewed with the building permits. There was an email comment that came after the staff reports were distributed. I sent that out to you in an email today. I was able to answer most of her questions, all except for the streetlight installation, which we'll have Daniel answer in a little bit. The conditions of approval are listed in your staff report, and they basically cover the requirement for landscape plans with the final plat submittal and the engineering comments for completion of construction and other items needed prior to signing the final plat. So given the analysis noted, staff supports an approval decision of the preliminary plat for North Meadows subdivision with all conditions as listed in the staff report. I will stand for any questions, and we might want to ask Daniel about those streetlights.
Christie,
Yes.
this is Steve. From the layout, I mean, those are, how are these people going to be? 4 units side by side, or 2 on 2, two on the bottom, 2 on top, or?
Commissioner Kehoe, these are side by side, so it's 4 in a row. They're row houses basically, and they're attached by a common wall between.
Right. No lot, 0 lot line.
Yep.
And that's, it says here 20 units in the application, billable lots, and that says 25? 5 times
No, 5 structures
5 structures?
with 4 units each.
Oh, 4 units each. I get it. Okay. And then why does that one lot line where there's only one set of dots, that property is divided partway in the middle there, or what?
Which one are you?
Look on the aerial.
Oh, so currently it exists as 2 properties,
Oh,
and they're splitting it into 20.
okay. Okay. All right. Answer my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Christie? Okay. Ronnie, do we have anybody there for public testimony?
Do you guys want to testify at all? You want to speak? The owners are here and they will answer questions, but they don't necessarily want to testify. Otherwise, we have no one else.
Okay, they're camera shy. Got it.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
Okay, motion by Steve, second by Matt.
Yep.
Yay. Okay, all those in favor of closing public hearing, Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Tom.
He can't vote.
Oh, he can't vote. That's right. You don't get to decide. Ron.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. What does everybody but Tom want to do?
Well, I think we need to ask Daniel about the question about the streetlights, since it was brought up by a member of the community.
Okay, Daniel.
So what was, Christie, can you relate what the question about streetlights was?
Yes, I can read you the actual question. Hold on just 1 second.
I love to answer questions. I just need to know what the question is.
I would have said it too, Daniel, but I couldn't remember what it was either. So thank goodness for Christie.
Will there be additional street lamps added to the area due to the increase in population?
No. So the streetlight spacing is at each intersection and every 400 feet thereafter. The drive aisle that is on this plat is not a public street. So if they are wanting to put in lighting for that, they can. It would fall under, because it's residential, actually, I don't think it would fall under any code other than the electrical code. But it would not put in any new public street lights on 2nd Avenue there.
So it'd be up to the builder to light the parking lot in between the structures.
Right.
Daniel, this is Matt. When they submit for permit or CZC or whatever it is that they need to submit to, I've had in the past where we've been required to provide a photometric site plan. Is that any of the requirements?
That is not something that is required in our code on a residential development of this nature.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Okay, what do you guys think? I think Steve has a motion to make.
Well, I was trying to give those people at home a chance to speak up. I think I've been doing a lot of speaking tonight. If you can't participate, then
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion since, I mean, everyone's camera's on. I can see you're all awake, but you know, I think a good location for a multifamily project, infill piece. It's close to amenities if you can get over the road tracks and go shopping. But no, I think it's well laid out. A good price point for affordable housing, which is something that the community needs. We hear it at every meeting. So I'll go ahead and make the motion. We grant subdivision plat preliminary approval for North Meadow subdivision for Kenco at Timberline survey of 129 2nd Avenue North, or located in a portion of lot 19 and all 20 block 11 city acres with all conditions of staff.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Ron, seconded by Matt to approve the plat. All those in favor, Steve,
aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Matt,
Aye.
Adam,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Ron.
Aye.
Okay, that is approved, and that is the last thing on our agenda.
What you guys?
Yay!
Peggy,
Yes.
Cool. Brett, that looks good.
I have a final plat for you to sign. Will you be able to stop by the office tomorrow?
Yes, me and the puppy will come by.
Thank you.
She likes to go to the building department.
Yeah, I know. We love to see her. The building's open, so come right in.